Something extraordinary is happening in the hypercar world right now. Not a recall, not a lawsuit, not a quiet restructuring behind closed doors. Something far more dangerous for a brand like Bugatti, a full-blown public revolt. And it's not coming from critics on the internet. It's not coming from journalists with an agenda. It's not coming from people who could never afford one of these cars in 100 lifetimes. It's coming from the actual buyers, the multimillionaires, the collectors, the exact people Bugatti has spent decades carefully, obsessively courting. And right now, some of them are done. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe and smash that like button, because what is happening around Bugatti right now is genuinely unprecedented in the history of luxury automotive. We are going to break down exactly what one wealthy buyer just said publicly about Mate Rimac, why it's hitting so much harder than anything a YouTuber could say, and what this moment signals for the future of one of the most iconic brands in the world. Let's get into it. A wealthy Bugatti buyer, someone who can comfortably write a check for a multi-million-dollar hypercar without losing sleep, just posted a video publicly confronting Bugatti's CEO, Mate Rimac. Not privately, not through a lawyer, not in a quiet email to the dealership. Publicly, on camera, for the entire world to watch. And what he said was absolutely explosive.
So the CEO of Bugatti decided to comment on my Hamilton collection theory. Instead of having a conversation, he decided to block me. But what I really like to know is, Rimac, or Mate, I should say your name is, did your father go to jail for 3 years for embezzlement? And why is Volkswagen Bugatti have you in charge when you're known for stealing your money? Maybe birds from the same feather do stick together, and that's why you guys are running these scams. But I appreciate you blocking me, and I will never ever buy a Volkswagen Chiron because I'm not paying $25,000 for an oil.
According to this buyer, Mate Rimac had already engaged with him publicly, commenting on one of his posts about his Hamilton collection theory. A conversation was beginning. There was interaction. But then, the buyer claims, instead of continuing that dialogue, Mate Rimac blocked him. No reply. No explanation. Just gone. That decision lit the fuse. The buyer went on camera and held nothing back. He asked directly why Volkswagen would put someone in charge of Bugatti whose father allegedly served 3 years in prison for embezzlement, and why, given that background, anyone should be surprised that the company appears to be running what he described, point blank, as scams. He said he would never buy a Bugatti, or as he deliberately called it, a Volkswagen Chiron, and he pointed straight at the servicing costs as his reason. $25,000 for an oil change. His words were clear and unambiguous. He could afford it. He just refused to pay it on principle. Read that again. He can afford it. He's choosing not to. That distinction changes everything about this story. Now, to understand why this moment is so seismic, you need the full backdrop. Because without everything Matt Armstrong has exposed over recent months, none of this lands with anywhere near the same force. Matt Armstrong is a YouTuber known for buying crashed luxury and exotic cars, rebuilding them from scratch, and documenting every single detail of the process on camera. He ended up purchasing a salvaged Bugatti Chiron and attempting to restore it, and what he discovered during that teardown sent shockwaves through the automotive world. Because when you start disassembling a Bugatti, you stop seeing a handcrafted, one-of-a-kind French masterpiece, and you start seeing something far more familiar. Airbags from an Audi A3. Secondary air pumps shared with a Volkswagen Passat. A fuse box pulled straight from a Lamborghini Gallardo. Not bespoke, hand-engineered Bugatti components. Not parts machined to tolerances found nowhere else on Earth. Volkswagen Group parts. Parts that exist across the brand's mainstream and semi-premium lineup. And yet, Bugatti is charging prices for service and components as though every single piece were individually sculpted by master craftsmen in Molsheim and could never be sourced anywhere else. That is the gap Matt Armstrong ripped wide open. And once people saw it, they could not unsee it. Then came the gearbox story, and this one is truly damning. A Bugatti owner brought their car in for service and received a quote of approximately £300,000 for gearbox work. £300,000. Except when the problem was actually investigated properly, it allegedly came down to a fuse. A single fuse. The kind of thing you can find in a hardware store. The kind of repair that takes minutes. The initial quote? £300,000. If that story is accurate, and it has not been credibly disputed, this goes far beyond aggressive pricing. This raises serious questions about whether Bugatti's entire service structure is built to extract maximum money from customers who have the wealth to pay and not enough technical knowledge to question what they're being told. That is not a pricing dispute. That is a trust problem. And once that question enters the room, it poisons everything it touches. That is the environment in which this wealthy buyer made his video. He wasn't operating blindly. He had watched what Matt Armstrong uncovered. He had seen the part numbers. He had seen the quotes. He had followed the gearbox story. He drew his own conclusions, and his conclusion was not that Bugatti was overpriced. His conclusion was that Bugatti was running scams. That word matters enormously. Not expensive. Not unfair. Scams. That is the language of someone who believes the deception is deliberate, intentional, structural. And calling it a Volkswagen Chiron? That was no accident. That was a message. A statement that, in his eyes, the mythology of Bugatti as something separate, something untouchable, something genuinely beyond the ordinary world of car manufacturing, that mythology is dead. Peel back the badge, and what you have is a Volkswagen Group product in an expensive costume. He is not paying Bugatti prices for a Volkswagen product. And he said so on camera for the world to hear. Now here is why this is so much more dangerous than anything Matt Armstrong's videos alone could produce. Matt Armstrong is a brilliant content creator. His investigation was thorough and compelling and reached millions of people. But Bugatti, at least internally, could dismiss him. He buys salvage cars. He works out of a garage. He makes YouTube videos. He is not the person Bugatti designs their experience around. There is a certain comfortable insulation that comes from being able to frame your critic as someone who was never your customer to begin with. That insulation is completely gone now. This buyer is Bugatti's customer. He is wealthy. He is connected. He moves in circles where multi-million-dollar car purchases are routine. When he says he will not buy a Bugatti, people in those circles hear it. When he posts a video publicly confronting the CEO by name, other collectors see it. When he frames his decision not as inability but as refusal, as a principled, public stand that carries a weight that no YouTube video, however viral, can fully replicate. In the hypercar world, reputation is the entire product. Bugatti does not compete on practicality. It does not compete on value. It competes on prestige, on myth, on the unspoken promise that ownership of one of these cars means something profound. The moment that story fractures, the moment buying a Bugatti starts to feel like being taken advantage of rather than being elevated, the entire value proposition begins to fall apart. And then there is the pattern that critics are now pointing to loudly and repeatedly. When Matt Armstrong ran into obstacles sourcing parts for his restoration, the response from Bugatti was silence. When Mark McCann publicly raised concerns about delays and lack of communication around gearbox servicing on his own Bugatti, the response was silence. And now this wealthy buyer says that when he asked direct and difficult questions, the CEO blocked him rather than engaging. 3 situations. 3 people. 3 times the answer was to shut the conversation down entirely. And in the social media era, that strategy is not just ineffective, it is actively destructive. Because every time a block replaces a response, another video gets made. Every time silence answers a criticism, another creator starts pulling on the thread. The story does not die. It grows. The accusations do not lose credibility with the audience watching. They gain it. Because silence, to a public already primed for suspicion, looks exactly like confirmation. Bugatti has survived extraordinary things. Was near bankruptcy. Multiple ownership changes. The passing of Ettore Bugatti's original vision into the hands of a German automotive conglomerate. Through all of it, the mythology survived, because people still believed a Bugatti was genuinely different, genuinely special, genuinely worth everything it cost. Matt Armstrong may have started cracking that mythology open. But wealthy buyers going on camera to confront the CEO by name, calling the products Volkswagens, and publicly swearing off the brand forever? That is the part that could make the damage permanent.